Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. My name is Sid. I like to make videos about math, programming, productivity, and a bunch of other things. Today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can get started with computer science as a high schooler, getting involved with computer science extracurriculars, learning to program, and getting involved in computer science clubs at your high school or starting your own. We're really going to be discussing a few main things. One, competitive programming, which I've made a lot of videos about. You'll see a link to one up here in a card. Getting started with machine learning, the basics of programming, and starting your own club. That's what we're going to be talking about. Let's get straight into it. I do have to say that only a small percentage of my viewers are subscribed, so if you could check the subscribe button and make sure you're subscribed, it'd really help me out. So why should you be learning computer science while you're still in high school? Well, it's a great time to get ahead of the curve, and when you're in high school, you don't usually have too much on your plate besides the classes that you have and any clubs that you have. So you'll be able to sneak in some time to learn programming on the side, which is super useful because programming is a skill that you use in basically every field you want to go in, blah, blah, blah. You've heard this speech a million times from a billion different people. Anyways, let's talk about how you can actually get started. First of all, for general purpose programming and learning a programming language, if you're a complete beginner, I suggest the best thing to do will be to learn Python because it's a very simple language to learn. It reads a little bit like English, and it won't be as hard for you to learn straight off the bat as something like C++. The best place for me personally to learn Python was through Sendex's YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description, and also a course on a website called Automate the Boring Stuff with Python, which takes you through a bunch of really useful projects that you can build with Python, and is super interesting. That's a great place to get your feet wet. If you're really gunning for prestigious computer science things in high school, then you might consider doing competitive programming, and particularly USACO. I have a lot of videos on this on my channel. You could check them out in the description. I'll leave links and they'll pop up somewhere around here maybe. But competitive programming is basically exactly what it sounds like. You get a set of programming problems to solve in a given time period, like maybe 6 in 2 hours, and then whoever solves the most quickest gets the most points and wins the competitive programming contest. The best way to get involved in this in high school is through USACO, the United States of America Computing Olympiad. It has 4 divisions: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, and you advance through the division in each contest. There's about 6 contests a year, 4 in each academic year: December, January, February, and March. And they're all really fun contests. 3 hours long and 3 problems, or 4 hours and 3 problems. It's been a while since I took one, but there are 3 problems, and they start off easy in the bronze division. They get harder as you go on and increase in divisions. It's a really great way to increase your algorithmic thinking and problem-solving skills, and I'll leave links to get started in the description down below. I did a lot of USACO in high school. I ended up in the Platinum Division of USACO, and I think that was one of the biggest boosts in my college app. But let's talk about another way that you can get involved in computer science. And that's through just doing normal software engineering and hackathons and, building your own projects, finding topics that interest you, or programming languages or tools that interest you, and then building cool projects using those tools. A great way to do this is by participating in hackathons. There's a lot of hackathons now that are hosted for high school students, and because of COVID, a lot of them have started accepting online submissions, so you should go to mlh.io and find a bunch of hackathons near you. A hackathon is basically like a 12 to 36 hour period of time where students get together and they build cool software projects, usually in groups of 1 to 4, and they just try out new technologies, and they just spend like a weekend building a really cool software project that they have interest in and showing it off to people, and maybe even winning a prize for doing so. Doing the hackathon is a great way of learning because you're really setting yourself up by giving yourself time that's solely devoted to programming, and there's a ton that you can do even with like 10 hours of maybe focused time over a weekend. You can learn a new programming language and build some cool tools. I'd suggest doing a few hackathons throughout your time in high school, and even if you don't, then at least build some side projects on your own. Perhaps go in and learn web development, learn React and build some cool web apps, or learn Python and build some Python web apps, or learn mobile app development using Swift or Java or Kotlin or Flutter. There's a lot of things that you could do, and I would suggest getting started with some links that I'll leave in the description. Some great places to go are the Odin project if you're looking to get into web development, and there's a lot of YouTube tutorials on learning Flutter, and I'll leave a link to them in the description below. Of course, also check out mlh.io to find some cool hackathons to participate in. Let's talk about getting started with machine learning. I don't really know the best way to get started with machine learning in high school, but I'll talk about how I got started with machine learning. And I did make a whole full-length video on this, so if you want, you can go check that out. Again, I'll leave a link to it in the description. But the way I got started with machine learning was by first learning Python and then learning some Python libraries for data science like NumPy, Matplotlib, and Pandas through edX and a few other online courses and a bunch of YouTube videos. And then I got into learning machine learning through the Stanford course that's famous on Coursera. I'll leave a link to that in the description, or you can just ask for it in the comments if I forget. And that's really how I learned it. But I wouldn't recommend that for everybody. I would say the best way to really get a good grasp on machine learning is, again, Syntax has a lot of great machine learning tutorials on his YouTube channel. So if you go and follow through them and you're able to understand, after you've learned Python to a good bit, then you should be able to go through that and learn how to implement machine learning algorithms and use them in your code. But you won't really have a great understanding of the field because you don't really know any of the math behind it. So I would suggest learning some probability and statistics, some linear algebra, and some multivariable calculus, so you have a decent understanding of how the algorithms are actually working. But again, that's not necessary to start coding up machine learning algorithms. I would then suggest, obviously, participating in some Kaggle competitions. Kaggle is a website where there's a bunch of data sets and a bunch of people use those data sets to make machine learning models, and they compete with the machine learning models to see who gets the best score, like the best accuracy or the best standard mean error and other things. And it's a really great place to practice your machine learning skills. You can also try doing your own machine learning projects. Find some data that you might be interested in and do some analysis on the data. Build a machine learning model that predicts things with the data. That's a really great way to get your feet wet and really develop your computer science skills. Getting into machine learning is a little bit harder than getting into the previous things because you're expected to already have some programming experience before you start machine learning, and that's a good thing to have because otherwise you'll end up looking a little bit lost. Of course, I would also recommend joining your school's computer science club or programming club if you have one, and if you don't, then start one. Even if you are a complete beginner, it won't be something that's, the blind leading the blind in programming kind of works. If you start a club at your local high school, and then you see people have interest in the club and they join, then you can learn with them and you'll have a community of people to learn with. And if you do want a community of people to learn with, join my Discord, link in the description. But starting a club, first of all, obviously it'll look good on your college app, but also it'll be really good for you. You'll have a community of like-minded people, and you'll be able to grow with them, and you'll be able to learn with them, and be able to talk to them about these things, so you're not feeling alone on your journey of learning programming. If you have a community of people when you're learning something, it's a lot easier to do it. So make a club or join your school's existing club. Don't really do it for the college app, but you will have a great community to learn from, even if they don't know anything, and if you don't know anything, you'll still learn a lot. That's all I really have to say about different ways or different things that you can get involved in related to computer science in high school, especially, if you're towards the beginner end. If you are a complete beginner, then I would suggest watching Syntax's videos on learning Python and really getting a good grasp on Python, and then moving on to doing other things like competitive programming or building your own projects using Python, and then learning new languages like JavaScript and frameworks like React to build web apps or something. And then, once you feel good with like Python, maybe you don't want to do competitive programming. Maybe you don't want to do normal software engineering. Maybe you want to go directly into machine learning. That's fine. Learn Python well. Maybe get some mathematical background, not really necessary, although I do highly recommend it, and then jump into machine learning. Anyways, that's all I really have to say for today. If you have any content ideas that you want me to show, leave them in the comment down below, or join my Discord to find a community of like-minded people to talk to about machine learning and programming and a bunch of other cool stuff. I'll leave the link to my Discord in the description down below. Join that if you just want to say hi. You can follow my Instagram and my Twitter, links down in the description. And join my email newsletter that I forgot to send out for a month now, but I will be sending out an issue this Sunday. And join my email newsletter if you want to see my thoughts about a bunch of random things throughout the week. As always, have a good one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Have a great day, guys.